Cool. All right. So Anabisios, ninth circle. This is the first floor of the tier. There was a lot happening in the story, and I don't know. I like it's floor one, and I'm already super excited to see what's happening. And I mean, I'm thinking so far ahead. So let's just focus on what's happening in front of us at the moment. Yeah. So it's always an AOE, always a tank buster. Everyone knows this. If you're playing Final Fantasy for any period of time, you already know there's basically two ways that a fight starts. You get the raid wide, the tank buster. It doesn't get much more creative than that. And we've seen it's already had an AoE opening. And I'm curious to see if it is going to be a tank buster second or not. We see impending kind of hanging on the side there. Okay. My strengths are equal. We have fire and wind. Okay. Each one got hit by an element. And it's swapped. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, and we see the debuffs on his screen. Okay, cool. So it seems like that's definitely a tank swap, tank buster. You imagine you want to get hit by this. We have lightning and fire next. Fire debuff. Fire was an AoE around people. Like ice was an AoE. Okay, and 4 of them went down. I imagine it was a 4 hit with fire. Everyone was inside the ice, I imagine. Maybe not. Okay. There's just so much, and then there's just so much happening right now. Okay, we have Proteans, it looks like, that came out from lightning. Again, there's just elements. And we have another fire and ice again, but this time it's ice getting hit. Is it going to be in? Since ice was out last time? Oh, yeah. Interesting. Okay, so a lot of info from just the first pull. They saw the AoE. They have a tank buster that needs the tank swap. And then we have a fire and ice. We saw 4 people die. That's pretty important, right? Usually when 4 people die, that tells us things, right? Like, you probably want to either possibly stack it, share it somehow with a partner, split the damage up. I didn't see quite the damage value, but I'm sure, this is, one of the fastest world prog teams. They pick up on those details very quickly. Something like, a tank getting just above kill range, a DPS or healer taking 100 and something K damage, right away. Here we have the tank buster. Looks like this is just the same thing. It'll be a tank swap every time. Okay. And they decided just to swap aggros for tanks, not like tank back or take the aggro back. Okay, so we have lightning and ice again. Sorry. Ice and fire again. And they're already stacking up as partners. It makes sense. Yep. And it looks like they've assigned them as utility with DPS. Beautiful. Already handled. Now they notice this is Proteans, so are they... And it's ice, so they're in. Amazing. Yeah, they get it right away. Now we have fire. This will probably be the opposite of what we saw first, so it's probably... Imagine partners again. And they figure you're going out this time. Okay. We saw 2 die, interestingly enough. Cannot quite catch what happened there. But it doesn't matter to them. We're already moving on to the next mechanic. These guys just want to... And we boss is actually surprisingly already taking some nice hits. It's at, what is that, 80%? Just below 80, it's at 78. So we're kind of going through this quickly. Another Ravening AoE. Okay, 4 walls. This could be indicative of a knockback or something, I imagine. We don't know. And this is just a solo tank buster, looks like. Impending does have a physical vuln, and we see a dot on him, so yeah, the tank swap was appropriate. And we did knockback. Okay, yep, so you do want... And I see 4, so this is probably partners for knockbacks, no? Okay, Nars strives solo. We see a bunch of deaths that yeah, that was that. I did not see 8 go off, so that was probably a light party or partner debuff. Oh my gosh, and then there's so much happening right now. Okay, okay. There's a frontal cleave and in out. There was explosions. Not too punishing to get hit. And Nara gets to see the next thing. Gluttony's Augur. Just an AoE. I guess he's wondering if he should wall it or not. And we see the home game come out like almost immediately. Yeah. Warrior self-sustain is insane. He's going to get back up to a decent amount of HP in order to see the next mechanic. They will be missing out probably on a bunch of information because it's only one alive, right? There's so much that could happen. And again, it's the first floor, so it's not like anything crazy probably, but you know, the more people you have alive going into mechanic, the more info you have. Who gets what debuffs? How does the mechanic resolve? He was just to get part of the picture here. That's what. Oh wow. Okay, so 1, 3, 5, 7. We have evens on players. So he's probably gonna jump to 1 orb here. He's 2 and he has defamation on him. 1 got struck. Oh my god. Okay, so we saw. Yeah, that was okay. So he kicked 1 across, and then it looked like something spawned. I thought it'd be like a big AoE, but we saw like a spawn of a tower. It looked like possibly, and then Nar not only had the 2. I wonder if the 2 was indicative of the defamation that he received. Again, I mean, there's just so many things that could happen there. We don't know. But what's interesting is that if 4 of the limit cut markers are going on the orbs, the other 4 seems like they're going on players, which means 4 players will not be assigned. Yeah, we're probably looking to see what, you know, it could be a difference between the defamation and the limit cut evens, although we don't really know what does what totally. I haven't been paying too much attention to the comp they've been running actually. So we have Warrior Paladin running. Warrior, again, a great tank for progging. You see more mileage from Warriors in content such as Ultimate, for instance, just because the longer the fight duration, the more invulns you can pull off as a warrior who has a disgustingly low cooldown on their ultimate. I mean, it's ridiculous. You're taking the shortest cooldown and the longest cooldown and putting them on the same team. I mean, it's really a staggering difference, you know, 3 minutes for what is essentially the same thing achieved. I mean, Paladin used to be an argument that it's 10 seconds, 2 extra seconds in Shadowbringers, a bit of a better ultimate, no damage taken. But every tank got their cooldown increased to 10 seconds for duration for their invuln, which is insane because, you know, that's one of the strongest arguments for Paladin's cooldown being so high, and it's just really in an invuln, you know, strictly just the invuln usage, you know, in Warrior just is so much better in my opinion. Really, it just... There's probably a couple of niche cases where you want to take the Gunbreaker or Paladin invuln for 0 damage taken, but you know, you don't find that too often anywhere. Followed up with the healers. Scholar, Astro, they're going for a heavy buff comp clearly. We're gonna have Astro, oh, I'm so sorry. We're gonna have buffs come from both ends, and then we have a Samurai to play into the ADPS there, just something to really hit hard. Dancer again, we have Technical Step coming in for more buffs. Summoner, and it looks like Red Mage. So interestingly enough, this comp is only taking 1 melee job. They're forfeiting potentially, you know, some damage, which is not that crazy at these lower levels. You know, you really don't need the DPS check, and for these guys, you know, it's really not that big of a deal, especially when you're a competent player like them. Oh, and it looks like they figured out it was partners, by the way. And we're seeing the fissures, like in Ruby. If you remember, Ruby from Shadowbringers had the same somewhat mechanic. 2 AoEs came out. Likely targeted, maybe possibly distance baited. Might have been the same role. I don't really know. Didn't quite catch that. But it is interesting how they forfeit the damage for what is arguably greater utility. And we have, of course, Res Mage coming in that's going to help out a lot with their prog. It does make it a little concerning about when they get to the 4th floor. We saw it was Athena. And given the granted the pattern we've seen in Endwalker so far, every 4th floor has a second boss. It's a door boss, right? You have to get the boss to 50% HP, and then and only then do you actually progress to the next part of the fight. Full reset of the health, 100 to 0 the boss. I find it very strange if the 12th floor, the apex of the raid series, did not follow the same pattern. Okay. Oh my god. Here we have, yeah, so here comes the 1 kick. And it actually does damage to them. They see the tower soak. We have proper tower soaks going off. Defamations of ice going off on players. And we see jumps to players. Okay. So the limit cut is definitely the jumps to players, it looks like. The defamations are the separate non-limit cut players. 4-4 makes sense. And I guess we're taking a moment just to talk about the mechanic over. It is a bit much at once. Also, it's surprising. We're seeing a limit cut mechanic in the first fight of the tier. I mean, I understand that, I think it's, I don't know if this is true necessarily, but I've always heard that, despite the fact that it's the first floor, generally each tier gets progressively a little bit harder relative to its former tier, the succeeding tier for it. So, 1 through 4 should be the easiest set, 5 through 8 a little more difficult, 9 through 12 even more difficult. It's just a, it's not necessarily true on a case-by-case basis, but the 9th floor starting with a limit cut mechanic is kind of insane. This is the stuff you see in Ultimates. You don't really catch this much anymore in Savage. On the first, nonetheless. This is the entry point for Savage for a lot of players. You have to keep in mind, a lot of people coming into this, they're returning to the game, they're trying to dip their toes into new raid tier, and to get hit with such a brutal mechanic right off the bat, this is like, I mean, I didn't even check the timer, this is only a few minutes into the fight. I can only imagine what the rest of it has if this is it. Usually with these fights, by the way, it's something that we noticed in P1S. It's something that you definitely notice in P1S. You might not notice as much in P5S. Because I'm trying to think off memory here. Generally, the hard mechanic of the first floor is introduced, in the first third of the fight. It's kind of just throwing out a ball. I'm thinking back to E9S. I'm thinking back to E5S, E1S, P1, P5, and we have mechanics like the Brambles from Cloud of Darkness. We have the 14, rather complete name of the 14 from Ramu, E5S. We have with Eric from P1 the ice and fire that was requiring, for a lot of party finders, made tanks adjust with possibly a fizz range or a caster to accommodate for the swap debuffs. We saw if you weren't there for that tier, by the way, it was crazy. Party finder did not want to deal with the extra thinking, so they would actually make strats called DD tank strat, where they would force a tank to take a damage down, just so that one other player wouldn't have to do a swap with them. Did it get the job done? Could you clear the fight doing this? Sure, but you really gotta think. Some people are okay with that. The tanks, I can tell you, they were not that happy with it. There are some screenshots of Party Fighter being filled with these like little boycotts from tanks about the strat. It was actually hilarious. It was pretty funny. That was pretty funny, actually. Tank lives matter. Tank lives matter. Everyone's damage matters. Remember that. Doesn't matter if you're a healer. Doesn't matter if you're a tank. Your damage matters. So yeah, they've been, I imagine that they have been discussing a bunch on how this limit cut mechanic works. I'm sure they're trying to figure out what to do, what's going on, because that is a layered mechanic. Now, what's interesting is this. They have chosen to take all this time to discuss the mechanic and not pull. This is a world race team. There is no parse. There is no FF logs, you know, pretty number you're going for. This is just kill the boss as fast as you can. That's all you want. And, you know, in my experience, I've only ever done week 1, you know, not blind. So for us, we could have the leisure of, you know, taking extra time to look a mechanic over, discuss it, have better confidence going into it. But these guys really every, you know, hour, every minute that they're discussing really matters. This is savage. This is an ultimate where a fight will take, you know, a week plus to, you know, clear. This is these races are, you know, a day long, 2 days long. I mean, it really does matter how far you get. Every pull. But these guys, I mean, they're you know, contender for the best raid team out there, right? We've seen their, you know, strong performance from DSR. I mean, we know that they, you know, can step up. We know that they have stepped up, taken the crown for themselves. So they clearly know or are comfortable with their workflow and their thought process about what they should be doing. And this is true for any team, by the way. It's like just even a good competitor for the rank 1 spot is that they know what they're doing. So what do we think, huh? I mean, we have towers have to be soaked. 4 towers have to be soaked because there's 4 orbs being kicked. 4 limit cuts and 4 defamations. Now, see, that's the interesting thing, right? Is that if you take those responsibilities, you actually get 12 actions, right? 4 players taking defamations, 4 players soaking towers, and 4 players taking limit cut hits. So one role, which is actually either the defamations or the limit cut evens, one role is going to be doing tower soaks, I imagine. The question is which, right? My thought process or idea possibly is that one of them, based on how the mechanic works, one of them is not possible. Maybe it is. Maybe you could place a defamation player on each tower. Maybe you can place limit cut on each tower. Uh-oh. Tank stance. Oh, no! Oh, snap goes down, unfortunately. Oh, gosh. You hate to see it. Sometimes, you know, when you have those early on dual tank busters. He's up in time, though. We're good. They have their Paris here. They're going out for fire. Which means next one will be ice and will be in. This is Proteans. Which, if it's ice, I believe it's in. This is out, it sounds like. Yeah. Well done. I mean, they got this instantly. They knew right away. They saw 4 dead. It's pairs. They looked at the big flashing symbol, knew immediately what to do. Right on. That will be terrifying down the line, though. To have your melee DPS die and that's your only melee DPS, that could be trouble. Especially for later floors. Especially for a door boss. As we saw in P8S. Which was a rare instance where the devs, you know, needed to fine-tune the HP a little bit because it was actually just ridiculously difficult to even get past door boss flawlessly. 0 deaths, by the way. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, those seem a little difficult to read. Maybe the back cleave, followed by an in. This looks like it might be the light parties because it's 2. Have they figured out who's getting it? Well done. Okay. This is it. Walls come up. And here we go, round 2. Man, this boss is melting. I mean, it's crazy. Again, this seems to be like the first wall mechanic. And we're already sub 60%. Man. Okay. They've sent all defamations to one side. Looks like they're assigning. Oh, interesting. Okay. So here was their thought process, I imagine. They first divide up into roles. They took all the defamation candidates, put them on one side, put all the Kokiros jumps to one side, and then decided, okay, Nar has first defamation. Everyone moved away. They rotated clockwise, it looks like, for him to take the what is a pretty big defamation. They assigned. Interesting enough, they assigned the jumps to take the first tower. Now, who specifically takes it, I don't know. But I did notice that there was a bunch of Vulns that were coming out. And I couldn't tell who was getting those Vulns. I saw Nar with a Vuln. Nar had the magic Vuln, which I imagine serves its purpose of one of two things, right? Either means A, they're trying to not let you get hit by someone else's on accident, otherwise you're dead. Or 2, these towers soaks have some sort of, you know, vuln they give you. And you're not trying to take that either. So okay. And no more tank shenanigans. Nice. I'm just curious to see what other mechanics they have. I mean, if we're getting hit with a limit cut this early on, it really makes you wonder what else they have planned for the rest of this fight. Like, despite the fact that we are hitting 50%, I don't imagine we're going to be rinsing and repeating this early on. Yeah, in order to, I think, solve this next mechanic, we need to watch carefully at who's getting those magic vulns. Those magic vulns play a very big role, I imagine. Just getting its autos in. I know a lot of tanks, and, well, I shouldn't say tanks. You know, the hardcore raiders, tanks and healers, I know they like to kind of complain and say, oh, we wish there was a little more outgoing damage coming out from, like, autos. It made, you know, optimizing the healing a little more fun, the tanks, and for tanks to, you know, properly do their MIT for just not big mechanics, you know, not just kitchen sink all their MIT for these 1-2 tank busters, but to actually take the autos in between. Okay, let's look at this. Let's see what's happening here. Front combination. Probably a frontal cleave. Uh-oh, Nar's in the same trap again. He needs to get out. There we go. Yep, we saw it. Cool. Front cleave. Get out of there. Nice. It looks like this is going to be in. And it's going to be light parties. Ooh, this is rough. Wow. Nicely done. Survived. I feel like those fissures can really get annoying. I mean, you just probably, you know, if you're not paying attention for 2 seconds, you'll walk into place and you're just going to get hit. And the damage down is not fun to take.
Shopify helps you sell at every stage of your business. Like that, let's put it online and see what happens stage.
And the site is live.
That we
okay.
store and need a
Here we go.
stage. Thanks. You're all
Are they
set.
sticking to the same strat? You know, you have to wonder, what did they learn from that pull, right? What did they do differently? Okay. We have 3, 5. It's important to know 1, 5. It's important to know the way these things are positioned. Okay. They're sitting too far away. Ooh. Okay, so... Oh, interesting. Oh, there's still so much happening. It's really interesting. I mean, there's still a lot to take from the pull, but yeah, they're just they want to test things. Now, you saw, I think it was elevation. I mean, we saw impending first, and then elevation. Both, what it might have been 2 and the 4, both died to their own mechanic. Now, the timing is a little, iffy. We're not sure because, to be honest with you, I think impending was just on the border of the defamation, the ice defamation from Nar. I don't know if he got hit by both. That would explain why he died. But elevation also died, so just taking his mechanic. But a tower, I think, also wasn't soaked at that time, so it hit everyone. It's not clean. It's not, they need that information to know what's going on. That's a bit rough. Honestly, it's always, nice to appreciate. Oh. What are we having here? Just checking something in the character. What could he have been checking in the character configuration? Oh, that was the menu, I think, for party skill effects? Maybe, I'm not sure off the top of my head. I was gonna say, you gotta appreciate the map design, always for these fights, right? The lines on the ground clearly make it obvious for the Proteans where to stand. Those are wide Proteans, so these are super helpful. Dear God, if you saw a party finder would try to line up if they didn't have these markers, you'd have that one guy that has all 8 markers placed perfectly symmetrically around the circle, and he's just don't pay attention to any of them. It doesn't even matter what any other mechanic requires you to do. Just have those 8 there so that people can line up properly and not hide them. Okay. Seems like a lot of mechanics in here are tank healer and DPS pairing. Front combination. So it's going to be moving out after this and staying out of the front. Stay out of the front. Okay. And you have to get out. Nice. Looks like they're still figuring it out a bit. 3 and 3 sec is fine. Okay. Let's see what happens next. That tank buster hits hard, by the way. I understand gear is not that great right now. It's actually close to mid-eye level. But man, Rampart with intervention, but you know, the actual Knight's Benediction buff and the 4-second period's buffed as well. You know, and Gnar still takes more than half HP, and I'm sure he had Bloodweighting on too. Wow. That's a hard-hitting single tank buster. Okay, here we go. Gnar's at 2. This is a good POV. Let's see what's going on here. It's running opposite of 1. It looks like he might soak the tower as 2. It seemed like he was supposed to take that tower, and then very quickly they decide not to. Or that maybe they think it's a pair soak? I don't know. Interesting. I wonder if they're just going to pull immediately if they have more to talk about, because that's, Oh, they are setting markers. Oh, they're simulating the mechanic right now, probably. Okay, I understand. And they go again. Jeez. That is rough for first floor. A limit cut? With so much happening. And, you know, it blows my mind to not even have mentioned this. This is a downtime mechanic. This boss straight up jumps away and says, you don't even need to worry about pushing your buttons. I'm so confident that you're going to get walled by this mechanic. I don't even have to be here for you to hit me. Just good luck getting through it. Just using your eyes and moving around. Man, this type of stuff you only see in Ultimates, you know? This is, you know... You go to T, for instance. You see this with, like, Wormhole and Inception. I mean... You go to mechanics like DSR. You see this with... You know, Death of the Heavens, Wrath of the Heavens, Sanctity, Strength. You see this with... Actually, pretty much just those two phases, now that I think about it. You do see most of Eyes and Nidhogg. It's all uptime. Same with Double Dragon. But there's 2 phases in that Ultimate where it's just downtime mechanics. You're just running and doing and executing. So the fact that the devs said, you know what, you can't hit the boss. A boss whose hitbox, mind you, is this big. Although to be fair, he's also jumping to players, makes kind of more sense. Even then, this giant of a hitbox. Oh my god, impending. Doubling up on the MIP. Whether it looked like a rampart, a bulwark. Probably a short CD. Narlock throwing in. Nascent Flash as well. For stem of the flow mitigation. Front combination, they're going to stay in the back. Wow, that thing just kills. And they got to stay out for this. He didn't. Okay, so you guys say about the damage down. Not the worst thing in the world. I wonder why they deemed Tank LB1 necessary there. They had 4 on one side. That side was totally safe. 3 on the other, which they've taken fewer than. Oh wow, look at that. And we see Nar use swap to his Vengeance for the 30% rather than Rampart. I mean, I don't blame him. That really looks like it hurts when you get hit by it. These apples keep me going, man. Okay. The limit cut numbers are always the same for the blue. Okay, we have Defamation. So everyone moves away from Defamation. No, you can't do that. Because you have... I mean, that's good. It's good. They can see what happens next. Protean, it looks like. This is all viable information. They just want to see the next mechanic. I mean, help these men and women if the next mechanic is just as layered as this one. Ravening. We got another AoE coming in. It's green this time. Has it usually been green? Oh, and it's on all 4s. Okay. Comets. Wow. Okay, they're actually... This could be another big mechanic here we're seeing. Okay, 2 are broken. Probably want to hang around the safe 2. This positioning makes a lot of sense right now. Thunderbolt. Going out. Okay. Oh, they're broken now. Is it because Nar dropped some poison on one of them? Didn't quite catch that. Or was it a lightning? There's 2 ways that it could take damage that could have caused it, right? Either way, they saw next mechanic. Not enough info looks like, though. With 2 players, you really can't tell what's going on.